Hey there, Sharon Horne-Ellstrom here. Maybe we need to tell a different story when it comes to an improvement area in the area of communication. We're talking about Sharon Horne-Ellstrom here. Welcome to day 2023 of What's She Up To Now, documenting the journey as I transitioned originally in 2017 from the brick and mortar corporate world of businesses to the online world of business. Following my divorce, I was looking for something to do, and I wanted to do something very different that I'd always been curious about, but that was dramatically different than what I'd done in the past. And so I decided, after much ado and separation of marital assets and things, that I was going to jump online and explore the online world. Now, I was old enough to retire, but I wasn't done yet, feeling like I could learn more and find ways to contribute and make the world a better place. And where better than the internet to make the world a better place? There's a whole lot of the internet that makes the world a worse place, so I want to be on the opposite end of that spectrum. And I hopped on, I learned a lot of things, many of which were a complete and utter disaster. Now, I know a lot of people won't hop on and they'll just tell you how wonderful they are and how everything is sunshine and rainbows for them, but guess what? They're probably not telling you the whole story because they want you to think that they're so awesome you'll give them a ton of money to teach them what they've learned and what they do. And chances are they learned it from someone else, right? I know that everything I am, everything I've learned from other people, other sources, books, learning, courses, reading, seminars, webinars, events, etc. We are all a culmination of everything we put into ourselves, right? So the thousands of books I've read, the hundreds of courses and events and things I've been to, all of that becomes a part of me if I decide to disseminate and learn that. And so that's part of what I share online these days. Every day I produce a couple of pieces of content. One is for my Supersize Your Business group, and there I share, and I started doing it when I was moving a few years ago, and I kind of got hooked on it because it's a quick and easy way to open my mind and think about something that I usually wouldn't think about in a different way, but then say, how does that apply to me as a leader of my organization, or as I'm building and growing and helping other people to build and grow and supersize their businesses. And so it started out as a fun time filler project, and it's kind of overtaken me. I've done well over 2,000 idioms in terms of I get an idiom. And last year I started saying, okay, if I'm going to keep doing these idioms, I'm going to find one that's related to the annual challenge, because the other piece of content I do every day is an annual challenge. This year's annual challenge is the Get Your Goals annual challenge. So every day we're doing one thing that moves us toward our goals and objectives. And to add some structure to that, I am using my life framework, the life framework that I use. I didn't create it. I learned the first 7 parts of my life framework from Jim Rohn and Tony Robbins back in the 80s when I first started saying, all right, life is chaos. How am I going to add some meaning and a framework to it and structure it so that I have more control over the things that I can control, and the things that I can't control, I'm not going to let bother me anymore. Now, I'm not going to say that things that I can't control haven't bothered me throughout my life, because they certainly have had an impact on me. But I try to jump from the problem is I can't control it to what can I control, which is the solution, as quickly as possible. And it's taken me decades to figure that out, but that's one of those lessons learned, that some things we just have to learn on our own. It's why I have routines and habits and add structure where I can to things that otherwise aren't very structured. It's why I make up measures and ways to measure subjective things and make them more objective, so I can keep track of how am I doing, am I moving toward what I want or not. Well, today's idiom was to tell a different story, or to tell a different story. And of course, stories have been around since the beginning of communication and time in humanity. People have used stories to convey information. And I think one of the biggest aha moments I've had throughout my life and career is that we write and create our own story. So if I don't like what's going on in a situation or in my life right now or in a relationship, I can step back and I can say, all right, I'm going to create and write a different story about this. The things we pay attention to are what we get more of in our life. That's true of our stories. That's true of everything. The things that we spend our energy and our attention, because attention is energy on, are the things that become bigger in our life. So if we're focusing on things we don't want, guess what? We're going to have more of those things show up. If we're focusing on the things we do want, which is why I think focusing on our goals and objectives and working toward them every day is such a powerful strategy, because we're automatically moving toward taking action toward and focusing and putting our attention on what we want. So we're working on communication this month. And we applied the SOAP framework, which is the story of, or the situation. Essence SOAP framework is the story of the situation. What is the current situation? Because if we loved everything about our current situation, it wouldn't be an improvement area. So obviously there's something in our current situation we don't like, and then we identify what's our desired story or situation. What do we want? So where are we in this communication improvement area, and what do we want? Where do we want to be? And I selected text messaging and one-on-one messaging because I have vision problems and challenges. So I need to find a way to text and do those other immediate ways of communicating without making mistakes and typos and things that like most people would be super duper mortified and embarrassed by. I used to be, but my kids will get these cryptic text messages. They'll be like, they'll just pick up the phone and call me because they're like, I can't even figure out what you're trying to tell me, Mom. And so they'll do that. And so that wasn't on my brainstorm list of communication improvement areas, but today as I was thinking about it, I'm like, that needs to be the one that I address right now. Why? Because it's like a big domino. If I solve that and find ways to be better at that, it doesn't just impact one area of my communication. It impacts all of my communications, both business, consulting, coaching, my family and friends, relationships, partners, etc. So that was mine. Oh, what have I got today? I haven't even gone over my schedule today. Normally I go over it first thing in the morning and look at it, but I know that every week this summer is just jam-packed with commitments. So I'm going to go jump on those. If I can help you in any way, ask. Otherwise, I'll be with you tomorrow.